An hour north of Thunder Bay, a dark SUV settled in my mirrors and matched me mile for mile. When I finally pulled into a dead, unlit lay-by to shake it, the driver slid in too, then bolted as I stepped down from the cab. I tried to laugh it off, napped in the cold, and woke to the crunch of footsteps at my trailer and the snip of bolt cutters. I've been hauling long enough that empty highways feel like home. January 2022, I was finishing a 3-leg loop across northern Ontario, last but one drop before I could aim the nose south and sleep in my own bed. It was after 2 a.m., -20, the kind of cold that makes the Trans-Canada look brittle under the aurora. No towns for an hour either way, just spruce, rock cuts, and a 2-lane ribbon through black trees. About 60 minutes out from the next consignee, I noticed a dark SUV settle in behind me. Not tailgating, not trying to pass. Just hanging at the same odd gap no matter what I did. I sped up, it did. I eased off, it eased off. We went like that for 40 miles. I told myself it was nothing. Nervous driver, bad night vision. But every time I checked the mirror, it was right where I'd left it. I decided to let them go by. There's a little MTO turnout I use sometimes, basically a plowed rectangle with a garbage barrel and an outhouse. No lights, no cameras. I blinkered right, rolled in slow, and watched the highway in my mirror to see the SUV sail past. Instead, it turned into and parked in the far corner, engine idling, lights off. The aggravation hit me before the fear. I killed my rig's lights, dropped the brakes, and swung down from the cab ready to find out what their problem was. I hadn't gone 10 paces when the SUV lit up, tires chirped on packed snow, and it whipped back onto the highway, throwing a rooster tail of ice crystals. Tinted windows. No plate I could make in that brief flare. Gone. Fine. Good riddance. I stomped to the outhouse, came back to the vending machines bolted to a little plywood shack, dead of course, and felt the adrenaline let go. I'd been on since noon. My eyes burned. I did a quick walk around, doors latched, seals tight, locks snug, then climbed back into the cab. I cracked the side window for a ribbon of air, set a 90-minute alarm, and let the heat drift down while the engine idled low. I'm a light sleeper by necessity. Years of learning to wake at the wrong sound. It couldn't have been more than an hour when the noise found me. Faint, crisp, deliberate. Footsteps on crusted snow. I kept still, eased a finger under the corner of the bunk curtain and lifted it a fraction. 2 figures crouched by the rear doors, dark coats against the darker lot. One had a penlight pinched between 2 fingers, signaling in tiny blinks. The other was feeling along the lower latch, patient and methodical. I watched a gloved hand dip into a small bag and come up with bolt cutters. Whatever grogginess I had evaporated. I palmed the dash and slammed the air horn. They levitated. Both flinched backward like I'd hit them with a live wire, stumbled, then sprinted for the tree line. 10 seconds later, a vehicle nosed in from the highway with its lights still off. The same SUV, I'd bet my next week's per diem, looped the lot without stopping, scooped them up in the dark, and vanished back to the road. The whole thing took less time than my heartbeat needed to slow down. When the quiet knitted itself back together, I called the OPP. I mostly wanted it on record, but the dispatcher told me to sit tight until a unit could get eyes on me in the trailer. It took a while. Eventually, 2 officers rolled in, blue and red washing the trees. We walked the rear together. Fresh pry marks bit into the steel right where I'd seen the hands working. The lower lock arm had scratches that hadn't been there at pre-trip. Cargo thieves, they said. Happens more than people think along that stretch. One car shadows you and calls a second to stage where you'll likely stop. They wait for a dark shoulder or a dead lay-by, hit the latch and see if you're asleep. If they pop it, the SUV becomes a tote bin. If you spook, they melt. It's the most unsettled I've ever felt on the job, not because of a chase or a crash, but because of how quiet it all was. 40 miles of pacing, a ghost car in the mirrors, a turnout that should have been empty, then hands at my doors and a soft little flashlight like a wink. I finished the route after the officers cleared me. I still take the northern leg when dispatch sends me that way. But I don't nap cold anymore unless there's a lit lot and other rigs around. And if an SUV sits at that same odd distance in my mirrors for longer than feels human, I don't wait to see if it means anything. I already know what it means.